You're listening to the Motiv8d Mindset Podcast with Bobby Stein.
What is going on, everyone? I am Christian O'Rourke, and you are listening to Bobby Stein on the Motivational Mindset Podcast.
Look at that, motivational. I like it.
Got me really into it. I was always into bodybuilding and grew up with, idolizing Schwarzenegger and watching Rambo and Rocky and playing with He-Mans and all that. So it was always a part of my life. I always wanted to be a wrestler, and that's always been instilled in me. And
Hello, my name is Bobby Stein, your host of the Motiv8d Mindset Podcast, where I share candid conversations with extraordinary folks from all walks of life to discover just what motivates their mindset. Welcome in, and thanks for listening.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Motiv8d Mindset Podcast. As Christian states, I am your host, Bobby Stein, and today I'd like to thank you all for wherever you're watching or listening, that you're doing absolutely fantastic. And I've got the privilege of speaking today with a fella that I don't really know too much about. We bumped into one another on occasion at the gym. We struck up a conversation. I invited him along to join us here, and he was kind enough to do so. And without further delay, I'd like to introduce you to Christian O'Rourke. Christian, how you doing, my brother?
thank you so much for your time today and for having me on. I'm super excited to
my pleasure.
Some chit chat in today, talk some shop.
Yeah,
so.
For sure. Well, the first thing I noticed about you, what stood out to me about you, Christian, at the gym was your mustache, number one.
Right.
You've got that awesome mustache, right? It's going to turn into a handlebar here in a minute.
Seriously, I had the full beard forever, and as I was getting older, I'm making myself look older. So last year, right before my birthday, I took down the beard, and here we are later with the mustache.
Isn't that funny how vanity kind of comes into play when you hit a certain milestone in terms of age? I was doing the just for men there for a minute, but I graduated. I said, you know what? I am who I am.
You pull that off, though. I mean, it looks good on you. It's not.
Well, this is all natural. This is all natural.
That's the way to go. Yeah. At least you have it on the top. It's not like the cul-de-sac. You got a good coverage there.
Yeah, I've got. It's like a line of rabbits taking a step backwards, right? They call that a receding hairline.
It's okay. It gives us. It shows our knowledge and we're experienced.
Our character.
Look at it that way. Yeah.
We've earned this. We've earned
this. It's a privilege.
The other thing I noticed, Chris, is your work ethic at the gym. I've always, you kind of, in between sets when you're at the gym, you'll kind of look around and you notice who's who and what's doing what. And I've always noticed you put the blinders on and you really go for it. What is your mindset when you enter the gym, and what keeps you so focused like that?
Sure. I mean, I've been working out and training since, in my teens and playing football in high school. And then from there, I got really serious into bodybuilding when I was in my early 20s, when I was just graduating college. And I had met a bodybuilder that I was a boyfriend of a woman that I worked for, and he got me really into it. I was always into bodybuilding and grew up with, idolizing Schwarzenegger and watching Rambo and Rocky and playing with He-Mans and all that. So it was always a part of my life. I always wanted to be a wrestler, and that's always been instilled in me. And I guess that passion that I have when I'm training, it really comes from being able to block everything out, because it's you go to work. Yes, it's sometimes I can be perceived as kind of like the asshole, but it's not. It's like I don't want to get wrapped up, and I'm sure you're the same way. When you're concentrating and you're focused, it's all right. We're here. We'll work. We'll say what's up here and there, and you want to have a long conversation. Hey, we could go after or whatever and shoot the shit. But when it's in there, it's got to be work. So,
once upon a time, Christian, yeah. I thought that headphones would do the trick, right? I'd be training for a competition and I'd be dieting down. It's the 11th hour. I'm 2 weeks out.
Right.
I'm miserable. I'm hangry, and I figured, let me put the headphones in. But of course, it doesn't work.
You could hang a do not disturb sign around your chest, and it's still not gonna. I think it's the opposite.
It's not a function of being antisocial, right? No. It's just a matter of
You got it, like you said. You got to be dialed in. It's a goal, and if you were studying for a test, you're not going to sit in between reading some pages and have a conversation, you got to be locked in, and it's the same kind of approach.
It makes good sense. Now, you have competed. I've seen on your, and folks, you can find Christian ROURKE over on the Instagram platform at My Boss is a Carpenter, which we're going to get into as well. But I've seen some photos up there where you've been on stage, and it looks like you were in the classic division, right? Classic physique.
I was, yes. I started competing actually at a later age, about 10 years ago, 2014. Calvin Choi, I'm sure you know Calvin. He's a local judge, and he's been in the circuit in the industry forever. And he had his show down on Fort Myers Beach, the Royal Palm. That was after the first show I competed in bodybuilding, because classic wasn't even around back then.
Exactly.
This was like 2014. So I did light heavy. I won that show, won the overall, won my masters, and from there, I've been competing ever since. Not every year, just because of life. I'm a dad. Running a business. I love the sport. But most recently, 2 years ago was my last competition. Did the Ultimate Grand Prix in Boca Raton and the Tournament of Champions up in Sarasota in the classic division.
Outstanding. Yeah, my first competition, Chris, was in men's bodybuilding, because they didn't have all the different classes, and I competed a number of times in that division, in the lightweights. And in fact, Calvin prepped me for a show probably 20 years ago.
Oh wow!
And
that's awesome.
He used to have a gym in Fort Myers and off of Island Park, and it was like he was one of the first ones to have a key card where you could go in 24/7.
Yeah.
And Calvin is just salt of the earth, a sweetheart.
Oh yeah,
and he was a heck of a competitor too.
Yeah, his physique was crazy. Yeah, he was shredded.
He was just always came in such good condition. He would always emphasize that. He said, Bobby, it's not always size. Size doesn't always matter, contrary to popular belief. He says it's conditioning, and he would always get me dialed in.
Oh yeah, that's so cool. He lives his premise on that. So.
Now you ran into, I saw another post where you ran into Kai Green and Sebum, in particular with Kai Green. Yes. You quoted one of his quotes, that thoughts become things. I'd like to get your take on his quote, and what do you think about that statement?
I mean, I really do believe, the power of manifestation and thinking and putting your energy into whatever it is that you're looking to achieve. And if you're stuck, which I myself have been guilty of as I was younger, getting caught in these negative mindsets. And, that's kind of like the devil trapping you. That's what he wants. He wants you to be questioning your choices, questioning if you're making the right decisions, questioning if you'll ever become more than what you currently are, to constantly aspire to do more. And, that quote, thoughts become things, that's exactly what it is. Because if you're thinking and putting your energy into those positive outcomes of what you want to achieve, whether that's in the gym, in your personal life, in your love life or whatever, you have to constantly not only just drive and do the action, but constantly keep your eyes focused on that. And I think it's very easy to become distracted, even now with so many things. I mean, we have the world in our hand, as you know, and it's so easy just to want to scroll or, to lose our focus on what really needs to be achieved. But, keeping that mindset, that outcome is going to be there. You just have to keep going for it. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I'm a huge proponent of that, Christian, where thoughts do become things. And I think the enemy kind of disguises himself in the form of doubt. And you mentioned it again, right, with distractions. How easy is it? I'm guilty.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I will get on Instagram or I'll get on a social media jag. And I'll look up. I'll be doom scrolling. I'll look up and 20 minutes have gone by, and I'm like, holy crap! I got to reset my priorities. How was he? He seems like a good guy, Kai Green.
Oh yeah, Kai's awesome. That's actually like the second or third time I've had the privilege to meet him. I was at a show. My wife was competing. So Cynthia James, you know Cynthia. She was like the pioneer. Unfortunately, she passed away recently, and she was a really good friend of ours and my wife's. And did she do the uniforms? She did. She was the one.
She did my posing trunks. I didn't know she passed away.
She did. Actually, in April of this year. Very
I'm sorry to learn
that. Yes. She was an amazing woman. Amazing. She would, she took amazing care of my wife and I. We've known her for years, and she had some struggles. Yes. Yeah.
I remember going over, Christian, to the East Coast and to her little studio in an industrial park, and and she had sewing machines going, and she was like a one-arm paper hanger, real busy. She took me into a dressing room. She said, "All right, drop them."
Right.
I was like,
she was very blunt. She had no shoes. She's seen it all. That was it. You know?
She's got, I've seen it, brother. It's all good. But yeah, I still have those. I still have 2 pair of her trunks, and I don't think they'll necessarily fit anymore. But I'm sorry to learn that.
Yeah, that was a very sad passing.
So your wife's a competitor.
My wife is as well. She's a figure competitor.
Wow. And how many classes are there in the women's? It seems like it's growing.
Yeah, now they added the fit model division. So if you heard of that, that's recent. That's this year. So that's kind of one under bikini where they don't want these girls so shredded. They don't really want so much tone definition. It's more like exactly what it is, kind of fit model. They don't want striations. They don't want, kind of like beach ready.
Right.
But they were adding, there's that. There's bikini, figure, women's physique, women's bodybuilding. Wellness is huge. Wellness exploded.
Wow.
There's like 6-7 divisions.
I know that when I go to a show and I spectate, or even when I competed a couple years ago, but nonetheless, the women seem to dominate it. And I don't know how the judges differentiate. They all look so great.
Tough.
And
oh
man, the guys, it's you kind of look, and a lot of times it's kind of cut and dried right off the bat, but the women are so close.
Women, it's like you line them up and it's like, how are you supposed to pick, even the top 5, like from top 5, so.
Yeah, they really have to have a discerning eye.
Definitely. Yeah, that is.
And how is C-Bum?
He's awesome. He's a really, really humble, really good dude. I got to meet Chris a couple times as well. And the first time I met him was after he was going for his 2nd or his 3rd Olympia. This was 2021. And I was at the Tampa Pro, and my wife was competing there. And we were have you been to Tampa Pro ever? Like the venue? And when you're walking down, and all the vendors are along in that hallway.
On that big corridor, yeah.
And he was just chilling because Ian Valkyrie was that was one of his last years of competing. So he was there to support Ian. And he was just chilling. We were talking. And it's funny because in the pic, I was like, I'm going to out-angle you. And I did. I stepped in and I was trying to out-angle. But he's a really good dude. And then I got to meet him again a couple times. And the last time, up at the Revive gym. I don't know if you've ever been there up in Stewart.
No,
Florida,
sir.
Revive. It's really cool. It's their like headquarters. If you're familiar with Revive's products.
No.
So they have a lot. Yeah, C-Bum is one of their ambassadors.
Shout out to Revive. Yeah.
Yeah. They're a great company. Been using them for years as well.
Oh, outstanding. Yeah, I always like to, when you meet your heroes or you meet somebody that you heard the saying, right? You be careful if you meet your heroes, right? Because they'll let you down, and it's always refreshing when they act in humility and they give you the time of day. That's so so nice.
Yeah, definitely. I will say
there's a lot.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I say there's a lot to be said for that because I met Phil Heath probably 10 years ago. He was maybe his 2nd Olympia. He was early on. Okay. And my wife and I met him at a fitness equipment trade show in San Diego.
Oh, nice.
And he came up and he just had all the time in the world. He was a super gentleman.
Another great guy.
But what he said to me really was striking. He said, Bobby, the sport is so small and so incestuous. He says, you can't afford to alienate somebody. It's not like the NFL or the NHL or MLB, where the fan base is, huge and, you can he said, everybody knows everybody and you have got to be on your A game. He said, I never understood why, a competitor would bitch and moan about not being able to eat pizza. He said, this is your chosen profession or your chosen field. He says, you got to make some sacrifices, but he was really cool too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I got to see him guest pose at Southeasterns about 10 years ago.
He's a beast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Phil's, he's a genetic, like one of the top, like genetics are just insane. Like, he's just,
you can't
seeing him in person. It's crazy.
Yeah. He was a basketball star in college.
Yeah. And then got into bodybuilding.
And what is he? He's 5'8" or 5'7". He's
on the shorter side.
That's
awesome.
ideal.
That's ideal for a bodybuilder. I mean, that compact, that dense muscle. I mean, his muscle bellies is just crazy. His depth is
muscle maturity. Three-dimensional. So I see that you're in a gym of sorts. What are you doing? Are you training on me in there in between?
I had to get a quick little pump before, I showed up on camera here, got to make sure the t-shirt's well tight. But this is my home studio, Ironheart Fitness. So Ironheart Fitness was a gym that I had here in Cape Coral the last 8 years. And my wife and I ran it. It was a boot camp style personal training gym. And then we recently closed that up just because we kind of outgrew the space. We're kind of going in a different direction.
Sure.
So now we're kind of in the process of looking again to reopening. But behind me in here, I set this up in my garage. I brought some of the equipment. I have some dumbbells and belt squat and some cool stuff to get a workout in here when I don't go out to the regular to smash or something.
So are you training people at present?
I do, yes. I do coach. I coach, personally. I have online clients as well doing lifestyle and for competition prep. I've been doing that for the last 8 years as far as coaching. I didn't jump into it. A lot of times now I feel like there's so many people in the industry, I'm sure who haven't even, it's a great thing that bodybuilding and fitness has exploded in the way that it has, but it's really not regulated where you have people who are claiming to be coaches or giving dietary or advice or even supplement advice or on the other side of it, pharmaceutical enhancement advice to people. And you're playing with people's lives. And if you're not qualified, and it's really, you got to really vet who you're going to work with. It's one thing. A lot of times you could be a great salesman, but does that make you a great coach? If you have a big, huge following and you have all the YouTube videos and all this, that doesn't necessarily give you the experience or what it takes to truly be a good coach or a good trainer. So you got to kind of really cipher through, especially now with, just like I said, the way it's exploded is crazy.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. I think it's so easy, not only in bodybuilding, which has exploded, over the course of the last 10 years in particular, but all trades, all industries, you have these quote unquote influencers out there. And when you really scratch the surface, Chris, sometimes, you have to be careful because like you said, you're playing with people's minds. And in this game that we're talking about, bodybuilding in particular, you start to manipulate dietary needs and you start to manipulate supplements and things of that nature. And a lot of it, like you exclaim you're kind of a life coach too. If you don't have that other mental component in there, you could really do some damage. So you got to be mindful.
And I've seen that. It's unfortunate. I've seen people come out with eating disorders, especially women. Because it's one of those things where you don't want to have someone not know how to have a relationship with food. I've actually helped people overcome eating disorders and to create those relationships, good, healthy relationships with food. And it's one thing when you have to, and as you've competed where you have to count and be so strict, obviously when you're competing. But as far as being a lifestyle and just wanting to be in shape and look good to walk around and feel healthy, you have to teach a person, especially just how to create that strong relationship, a healthy relationship with food and not see it as, detrimental. Obviously knowing what to do and what to eat.
Absolutely. And so people can get a hold of you over on Instagram, right? And
Yes.
your email address?
Yes. My email, the best way to get a hold of me through my email is ironheartfitnesscc@gmail.com. And that'll take you right to my business. Or you'd give it my personal Instagram. You can also check me out. If you go on there, it's to the coaching site, which is Ironheart Fitness. And you can message me on there as well if you have any questions.
Ironheart Fitness CC.
Yeah.
There you go, folks. There you go. So I also noticed that you had some lyrics from the boss, Bruce Springsteen, with your wife.
Yes.
Born to Run. Are you a Bruce fan?
I grew up in Rumson, New Jersey. I lived down the street from Bruce, and I got to meet him many, many times living in that area. And you're a fellow New Jersey, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, well, most New Jersey people don't acknowledge it because I'm from South Jersey.
So yeah, exactly. That's right. But hey,
so I'm assuming you're a Yankees fan, right?
Completely.
Yeah, I could have put anybody from Tom's River North is a Yankees fan, and I'm a Philly. Yeah, Eagles and Phillies all the way. But Bruce, I grew up listening to him. Thunder Road, Darkness on the Edge of Town, Born to Run,
Yeah.
There's a song, Christian. There's a song. You've heard of 10th Avenue Freeze Out?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Great song.
That's a classic, right? Well, Bruce does it. I have it on Spotify where he's kind of doing it on a piano solo in front of an audience, and he tells the story about Clarence Clemens, and the void that he's left since his passing. I have goosebumps right now. I mean, bring you to tears. Bring you to tears, man.
Yeah, that's hard. He was like his man. I mean, for
the big man.
Forever. Oh yeah. I have a funny story.
The big man.
I was out. This had to be early '90s, and at the time I was living in Europe. I lived in Europe for about 3 years. I was living in Switzerland. My father had worked for a Swiss pharmaceutical company, so we moved over in Europe. I got to live there for a couple of years, which is amazing. But we would come home at least once a year. So I was home, and this was back when videotapes. So I went to our local videotape store. I rented one of my favorite movies. I'm sure you've seen it, Point Break, where Keanu Reeves and robbing the banks, presidents of the United States. So I had the videotape on me. I just bought it. We were at a shopping center. I see Bruce Springsteen, but when I bought this tape, she's like, "Do you know the last person who rented this was Bruce?" Because he went to the same video store. So I had the tape on me. An hour later, I don't know what I got. He was there at a shopping center. I met him. I was like, "Oh my God, I have this tape. You literally just rented it." He signed the cassette tape. Awesome guy. I still have it actually. But Bruce is
awesome.
Another person when you meet your heroes. Like he's a really, really down to earth. He'll shoot the shit with you. He's another really solid dude.
Yeah, that's amazing. I met, speaking of Point Break, I think Anthony Kiedis, the lead singer for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, does. Well, his drummer in the band, Chad Smith. Yeah. A lot of folks say he looks like Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell, right?
He's an artist too, and I did not know this.
Is he?
But he came down to Naples, Florida for an art show 4 years ago.
Really?
And my wife and I at Mercado.
Okay.
And they rented a space there, and it has a red carpet thing. And I met him. I got to go behind the thing. We bought a piece of art. It hangs in my thing. Really cool. I got a chance to talk to him. He's out back smoking cigarettes, and he posed for album covers with us. And so it's getting back to that hero thing. And you don't have to be a hero, right? It pays. Like everybody's taking a look, right, Christian? Everybody's watching. It pays, and it behooves us to be kind and to be, just to put your best foot forward. It's not to say you're going to be a pushover, or anything like that. But by the same token, man, I mean, that to me speaks volumes. Like these guys have all the notoriety and the wealth and stuff, and yet they make time, like Bruce.
Make the time, exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
So speaking of Chevys, he's a big Chevy guy, Bruce. You have a 68 Chevelle?
I do. It was one of the cars that I had dreamed of having my whole life. I love old American muscle cars. And I found one a couple years ago and was able to get it. And it's one of my favorite things to do is drive it. It's you feel literally like you're in another time. Like it's got the smell. It takes you back, and
Is it a small block or big block 396 or a small block?
It's a 350 small block Chevy.
350 small block, yeah.
Yeah. I want to put an
love that.
LS6 in there, and really give it some power eventually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things.
I love the old GMs. I had a 66 GTO and a 69. I had a bunch of. I'm a car fanatic, and you're right. A friend of mine just bought a Tri-5. He bought a 56 Chevy. He's a few years my senior. He's 68 years old, retired. He says, I'm buying this car, and he says, and I'm driving it. He says, it's on my bucket list. He drives all around town in this thing, and it smells. And like you said, it's just, I love that.
I'll get stopped in that more than I had a Challenger, a lime green Challenger. And I'll get stopped cool. More than anything. Oh yeah, Challengers are great. But that thing, I don't know. It's just everyone beeping and waving, and then it's everyone loves the old classics.
Automatic or stick?
That's automatic. The Challenger was stick. Yeah.
Oh, the Challenger's stick.
Yeah, the Challenger. It was tough. I had to go to the East Coast to find it. It was a.
I was going to say that's rare.
Yeah.
Is it fast?
Oh yeah, it's got the the 6.4 liter. I mean, Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is it a Hellcat or no?
No, it's the Scat Pack, the 392. It's one under
Gotcha.
the Hellcat. Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, I remember all those Mopars from back in the day. The GTXs, the all of them. They were just the Barracudas.
Now they're going electric with all that. It's just it's terrible. It's not the
Did
same.
you hear the way they sound? Like there's a couple people on my street, and they sound like Martian. They sound like a spacecraft
like
or something.
The Jetsons, right? It's like it does. It reminds me of that.
Well, you got speaking of the Jetsons, you got the Dick Tracy watches with the Apple watches. You got FaceTime. We're doing this kind of thing.
Stuff
I mean,
that you read in comics or saw on TV, and now we're living it. It's crazy.
Well, we don't have the flying cars yet, and at least
cars.
that's what I'm looking for.
Oh yeah.
The Jetsons, spacely. What's that?
I said, especially in this traffic around here.
I want to get above. I want to get above the fray. But if they fly their cars anything like they drive them, I don't know.
Wearing a parachute.
Every man for himself.
Yeah, really.
That's good stuff. So that's cool. So you're training, you're doing some coaching, and all that kind of stuff. And your wife and you are. When's there anything on the horizon for you as far as competitions? I see you training pretty hard.
For me, competing, not this year, potentially next year. We do have some clients that are coming up for shows in 2 weeks. There's a show in St. Pete. We have a couple athletes who are going to be competing in there. Then I'm sure you know the Mel Chancey show in August in Fort Charles.
Yeah, I like Mel.
That's a big, awesome local show. Shout out to Mel and Melissa. They put on some amazing shows locally.
He's a great guy.
I know you're a good friend of Mel as well. So. And then, as I was telling you in the gym, I also work for Tim for Gardner Productions. So I'm getting ready to go Chicago Pro next month. And then Tim's got the Tampa Pro the end of August. Then the Hurricane Pro, St. Pete Pro.
He's a machine.
San Antonio Pro.
Oh, he's in Texas too. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then the last one in the year ends in Miami.
That's awesome.
Yeah, oh yeah. A lot of if you can get out to any of these local shows, they definitely suggest. This is the second one for the St. Pete Pro. This is their second year. That's a great show.
I got to get out this season and scope some stuff out. I think the Tampa's coming up, right?
Tampa will be the end of August, or beginning of August.
That I always enjoy going up to that show.
I love that. That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, I like that show.
Venue, everything.
Yeah, the hotel. If you get a room in the hotel too.
Oh yeah, it's super easy. Just walk downstairs.
It's very convenient. Go down to the steakhouse. You get a big steak.
Yeah.
Well, I went vegan 5 years, almost 6 years ago. My wife and I plant-based, and I've competed as a vegan. But I remember, the drill, right, with diet and I remember just eating filet mignon for breakfast and chicken and oatmeal and all that kind of stuff. And now it's a little bit different prep, but they have that's a good venue to go see a show, and they got the pool there, and the rooms are fantastic up at the Tampa Pro.
And they'll do the bodybuilding menu where you can buy all, they'll have a separate menu where it's all clean. They'll weigh everything out. They'll have your chicken.
They literally.
It's a separate menu they do just for that weekend.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That'll attract some folks. Well, there you have it, folks. So I want to ask you. You say your boss is a carpenter. I'd like you to share with people. Have you always been a believer, or did you come to find the Lord when?
I have. I was raised Roman Catholic. I took communion. I was always a believer, and I think what brought me the closest to God and to following my faith was through hardships and struggle. And I think that when you are at your absolute hardest and lowest point and everyone seems to disappear, that's when I found really my faith and my trust and put everything I had into God and believing and living as best as I can as a Christian, to serve and it's completely changed my outlook on everything. And, I truly believe that there's, everyone needs to understand how important faith really is when it comes
It's
to
everything.
taking that real final. It's sometimes hard to take a hard look at yourself and to admit and to find your flaws, but when you can put that all out and realize that there is no judgment and that you truly are forgiven and can walk and feel not so heavy, I think that's when you truly become saved.
Yep, there's something to be said. I mean, the greatest sacrifice, right? And the forgiveness, and not only forgiving others. I like forgiveness because it helps me. In other words, selfishly, I can abandon something. I can leave it be. That's what it means to me. It's like,
Yes.
I've been forgiven, so therefore I need to forgive,
Yes.
and not to get all crazy about it or anything. But I do believe that faith is a cornerstone, key component, landmark in my life. I mean, I don't know how folks do it on their own. I mean, I did it on my own for years, so I do know how to do it. But
it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I yelled, I've gotten angry, I've tried to walk away, and it's harder. You're way worse.
Speaking of that, trying to walk away, I saw Johnny Cash and his wife post on your Instagram page.
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear his version of "Hurt" from Alice in Chains?
Oh, that's one of my 9 Inch Nails. Yeah, but that's one of my
9 Inch
favorite,
Nails, rather.
One of my favorite songs. I actually have "Hurt" tattooed on the back of my arm here because that was my favorite song. One of my favorites when Trent Reznor and then when Johnny Cash did it. He even said, he's like, that's not even my song anymore. He's like, that's Johnny's song now. And
he did say that. I just saw something referencing that song. I lost my father the week that song hit the charts and came out. And then of course Johnny died like 3 months later or something. Yeah. And June died one of the back to back.
Yeah.
But those lyrics hit home for me, and talk about a faith walk. Just really, when he says my pile of dirt, you can have, I mean, goosebumps, right? Just, crazy stuff, brother.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But again, that's another story of people being saved,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a walking testament. I mean, he had everything. And towards the end of his life, the record labels weren't calling anymore and stuff like that. And he went out with a bang, and what a legacy he left.
Rick Rubin, who produced, I'm sure you know.
Rick Rubin was the guy that
Beastie Boys, and he brought his career back.
Yes, he did. He does the
American Core CDs.
He does. He produces Red Hot Chili Peppers. He produces everybody.
Beastie Boys,
Neil Young, Beastie Boys. Yeah. I like Rick.
Yeah, he's one of the best.
Yeah, he's the one that got instrumental with that Johnny Cash. Yeah, he speak. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I don't know if you checked it out, but Johnny Cash has his eldest grandson. Kind of had a really tough past, in and out of trouble, went to prison, struggled with drugs, and his name's Gabriel Thompson. I actually just was finding him out today, and he does an amazing cover of all Johnny Cash. He sounds just like him. He does Folsom Prison Blues. I just listened to it today. You gotta check him out. It's his eldest grandson, and
wow, Gabriel
Thomas. Yeah,
I'll look him up. Yeah,
Gabriel Thompson?
Are you a musician?
I am. I do. I play the drums and the guitar. My father taught me how to play the guitar when I was younger. So.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I love that. We'll have to get together. I play the drums too, but I just picked up the bass guitar about 3 years ago.
Oh wow! Okay, that's awesome.
And I just love. I'll have this. I have this program. It's called Chordify. So you plug in any song and it spits out the notes. And so you're playing root notes, right? Yeah. So it's not like I'm not like Flea. I'm not all over the place. Yeah. But you can play in your head, with the headphones, so you're not disturbing the neighbors. And I just love. Isn't music? Music's life, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it really is. It brings you through. It's a soundtrack. Literally, like it's a soundtrack to your life, and it's crazy because like I'm sure the same, but like I'll hear a song and like it'll take me back to when I was like 11 or 10. Like it'll take me back to that moment. And it's just like, I think it's so impactful and powerful that if everything else was to disappear, I think that music is one of the last things that, has to stay. Because it's life altering.
It really is, and I often use that term. This is the soundtrack of my life, you know. I just and it's the same with smells in the other sense. It's like if I smell a freshly cut lawn, it takes me right back to Jersey, and I'm like, as a kid, it's like I'm there.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Powerful the mind, really the human mind.
It really is.
Well, folks, there you are. We have learned what motivates the mindset of the coach, Christian O'Rourke. You can find him over on the Instagram platform at My Boss is a Carpenter. And, give him a follow. Check it out. If you've got the needs, if you're looking to compete, you need somebody to lean on and glean a little information. Christian's been around the block. He's competed. He's been there. He's done that. He's got his clients' interest first, right? Because if that's not if you're not healthy, then he's not in business. So he's got your best interest at heart. Check him out. And Christian, man, it's so cool to be chatting with you today, brother. I'm glad that you made the time.
Amazing discussion. Great speaking with you today. I really appreciate you having me. And looking forward to hopefully getting some more combos in the future.
Yeah, we'll get you down from the Cape over to Bonita, and we'll do we'll get a workout in or something. I don't know if I can hang with you, but I'll do my level best.
I don't know. I'm not. Maybe 20 years ago I might have. But I think we're just right about there now. So.
That's all good.
I'll bring my guitar too.
You definitely do that. I live 3 miles from the gym. And if you don't have your guitar, I have a Telecaster hanging on the wall that you can pull off and play.
Great. That's right. Awesome.
So that is a wrap, folks, for this episode of the Motivated Mindset Podcast. It was a pleasure to learn once again what motivates the mindset of Mr. Christian O'Rourke, the coach. And you can, again, follow him, My Boss is a Carpenter. And for Christian, I am Bobby Stein saying thanks for your eyeballs, thanks for your ear holes, and please, folks, take good care. Christian, you are awesome.
Thank you, Bobby. Appreciate you. God bless.
You've been listening to another episode of the Motivated Mindset Podcast with your host, Bobby Stein. Thank you for tuning in.